Hello, everyone, and welcome to RiverCity-Media's Beyond the Booth. I'm Howie Channing, along with the normal cast of characters here with, well, not characters, but character, Phil Harris. Phil, how's everything going tonight?
Doing well, doing well.
Good deal. We got a special guest here with us tonight, a little bit earlier than normal, but hey, it's great. We'll be able to get off here a little bit earlier, but we got Coach Derrick Wynn of the section lines. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Man, we was talking about before we went on the air about this being the second season starting up, and tell us a little bit of how you got to this point so far.
Well, it's been a grind. It's been a long season. You try not to, you don't want to get hot at the wrong time. You want to get hot right here at the end, and we played pretty well through area play and battled through some injuries early on during the season, and then luckily, knock on wood, everybody's healthy rolling into, like you said, the second half of the season, and hope to keep everybody happy and just make some shots and get some stops and try to keep moving forward.
When you do a schedule, do you want to try to have a lot of home games toward the end of the season or at the first of the season? How do you go about that?
But we try to mix it up. We want to, this team especially, we want to try to. We played a lot of neutral sites against some teams that were just better than us. And then right here at the end, you want to kind of mix it up and try to play some on the road and some at home too. But the biggest thing is you like to play some home games close, hoping that you're hosting the area tournament and get a chance to host the sub-state. So, that's kind of the idea. But our biggest thing this year going into it was just try to get some neutral sites against some teams that we thought were probably going to be better than us, and try to play a pretty heavy strength of schedule.
And talking about strength of schedule, going into the finals of the Sand Mountain tournament, as far as around here, it's hard to find anybody any better than Plainview Bears.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And I told the guys and told a few others, we wanted to treat that like a midterm and see where we were. We failed, miserably. We got hit in the mouth early, couldn't get things going our way, but it was a good measuring stick on what we wanted to do, and or measuring stick on where we were and what we want to get to. So guys have handled that better, as the season went on. Didn't fare too well in the Jackson County tournament. Skyline, which is a really, really good team and well coached, they beat us in the semifinals of that one, and it was a close game all the way through. So we really haven't fared too well in the tournaments. So it was good to get some wins in the area tournament, and make sure that we could actually win a tournament game. So,
Yeah, and being in the area that you are, it's a pretty close area as far as distance wise. You don't have to travel as far as like some of these other 1A schools may have to
right,
do.
right, and some of the best basketball in the state of Alabama is right here on this mountain, and much less in this area. I told everybody early that, I feel like the top three teams in, 1 through 10, you've got three teams that have the same area that are going to compete to go to Birmingham. I still feel like that's true. It's just good basketball up here. It's rivalries, nonstop. Everybody knows each other, and it's really fun. But as a coach, and Cole will tell you the same thing, and Bradley will tell you the same thing. It gets old having to play them guys nonstop. So you just try to keep a good mindset, and hopefully your kids, don't get too high or don't get too low.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a possibility. I don't have your schedule in front of me, but there's a possibility that you could have played some of your area teams 4 times this year.
Yeah, I mean, and if we
If that
play busy
happens,
again at Jacksonville, we're going to play them 5 times.
so
So to go to
you have
Birmingham.
played. So you have
Yeah.
played Pisgah
hmm
4 times already.
Yeah, played them Sand Mountain tournament, 2 area championship, and then hopefully chance to go to Birmingham.
Awesome. Awesome for us, not for you, but
Yeah.
it's great basketball for us to be able to watch.
Yeah, and and I've told the guys, like, that happened to me my junior year. We played Skyline 5 times. In the first time we played them, I think it was a 30-point game to our advantage. Last time we played them, we had to beat them with a buzzer beater to go to, at the end to go to Birmingham. So it's just all bets are off. It's there's no record. You got to throw it out.
Absolutely. I'm going to turn you over to Phil. I know he's got quite a few questions for you. So, Phil, take us away, buddy.
Yeah, well, Coach, I kind of piggybacking off on what Howie was asking you, and I've talked to other coaches, Jamie Pruitt will tell you, if you can survive your backyard, so to speak, which is your area play, you've got a chance to do something special. I mean, it's difficult just to get out of your backyard.
Absolutely, a good team's going to sit at home, and that's been since I've been back at section, and it was. I'm sure it was like that before I even got back. Uh, Somebody good is sitting at home every year, and it's unfortunate the way the state does it, but that's the format we got, so that's the format you got to play, because a lot of times your state championship could be in the Northeast Regional Final, and it's
Yeah.
just part of it. But yeah, good teams got to stay at home, and that you just don't want to be that odd man out.
Yeah, and exactly what you're talking about is kind of like what you're looking at in 1A girls, and when Ider and Spring Garden ends up
Absolutely.
probably getting together, that's probably going to be your state championship game.
Without a doubt. That's the two best teams in the state, in my opinion. And it was like that in 22. Us in midfield played regional finals to go to Birmingham, and no doubt we were the best two teams in the state that year too. So it's tough. It's like that a lot, and more than just 1 and 2A. But it is what it is.
Well, Coach, you took back the job in 2018, and I know, if it ever came, you knew you was going to come back and take the section job because it's a special place for you. But, not only that is the expectations for basketball or section are so high. They have such a strong tradition. And I think a great basketball coach wants that kind of challenge.
Yeah, it's fun. And I mean, we built something I thought pretty good at Scottsboro. And, we hit the Final Four before I left, and I had pretty much everybody coming back, and hated to leave those girls because we were real close. But, when Mr. Dukes called, it was one of them deals where this job don't come open all the time. If somebody gets in this spot, hopefully if they can do a good job, they'll stay for a pretty good while. So it was not something I was willing to pass on this time, hoping that, I might not ever get a shot at it. But you definitely want that pressure as a coach. You want your job to mean something, and that section basketball means something.
And of course, naturally, you're an alumni of section, graduated in 2001. I can remember back when y'all made it to the Final Four and lost to Barber County. And I know, of course, I hate to bring up old wounds, but I can remember at that time that school was combined. It had just been built, and they were a large school, but they were allowed to compete at the 2A level. And there was a golden opportunity for you guys to win a state championship. Then you just fell a little short against them.
Right. Yeah, I think they bumped up to 4A that next year. Playing. But Coach McCarver got us ready for those. Like, we were prepared, through the season, playing some higher caliber teams, higher classification teams. So, we don't use that as an excuse or not, but it was heartbreaking. But just to be down there, back to back years, my junior and senior year, and then my dad played on the '69 state championship team, and to be the first ones to go back and have a shot at it was pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to ask you about this. What was it like to play under Ronnie McCarver?
It was tough. I mean, it wasn't easy, by no means. And it's, you find out who you are. And if you can't handle it, then you probably need to move on to something else. To play for him and then go back and have a chance to coach under, it was really different to see the difference, just what age does, as a coach, and as he grew and the older he got. And, a lot of stuff when I was an assistant, I'd look at him and be like, why are you not ripping them guys for that? Like, you would have hammered any of us if we'd have done that. And, to hear some of the things and learn from him, not just as a player, but as an assistant coach, have been very valuable to me.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's, other coaches like Coach Hicks, Glenn Hicks, he was very tough on his, it's a different era now. I think you kind of sort of have to back off just a little bit to keep these kids motivated, because it's a different game now. Well, Coach, I want to ask you about this because I kind of want to lead into something. Well, 2 years later, Section won the state championship in 2003. And one of the key players on that basketball team, of course, he transferred from Skyline and came to Section. That was TJ Perry. We lost him way before his time, I thought, was through. Tell us a little bit about TJ Perry. I know he ate, slept basketball, but, we lost a good one in him.
Lost a good one. And I'll try to do it without getting choked up.
Yeah.
He was somebody that you wanted his approval. Like I called him, and we didn't talk every day. If I needed something, he would, he was somebody I could lean on, and vice versa. Just to kind of, ask questions about, kind of get his point of view on stuff. And he was very level headed and understood the game better than anybody I've ever been around. But he was somebody you wanted his approval. You wanted him to say, awesome job. I thought you outcoached that guy. It's just something you wanted, and it meant a lot to you. It's been tough this year because I would have already called him about 5 times or more, just, throwing stuff at him to see if I get anything back from him and just getting his opinion on stuff. But yeah, as far as this community goes and really North Alabama and probably the state, he was somebody that was valued as far as basketball guru, and you valued his opinion, and everybody did. And it's been tough not having him this basketball season.
Yeah, and just to tell you, what I thought about him is I remember when he was at Skyline, great player, but then he decided he transferred to Section for whatever reason. Of course, they won a state championship. I thought when Skyline and Section would play each other, there was going to be a lot of animosity, but there wasn't. And so I think that told you the kind of person TJ Perry was. Even though he left Skyline, the folks there still rooted for him as a person.
Absolutely. And as a coach. I mean, he was just a likable guy, and people wanted to be around him. Everybody kind of gravitated to him. And, I wasn't around him. That was when I was off at college and stuff. So I wasn't around him in those years. When he did make the transfer, I remember playing against him, but I don't remember him, at Section and stuff. So there's kind of I didn't get that side of it. But, when I got back and started helping Ronnie and TJ was obviously around, it was instant, want to be around that guy, want to pick his brain on basketball stuff. And he was just that guy.
Yeah, well, just to tell you from the games I watched, he was one of those players. He was a special player in that he made his teammates better. And I think that was, what his greatest asset was. If it was shooting the basketball or distributing the basketball, he just made people around him better. And I'm sure that was on the court and off the court.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't just come in from somewhere else, especially a rival, and come in and do what you want to do. Like, you've got to adjust and you've got to read the room, if you will. And he was really good at that, and he understood what's going on. And all the stories I've heard about him, in the 3rd grade or even younger, understanding basketball when a lot of people didn't know what in the world was going on, he did. So, he knew it, and he was good at it.
Well, Coach, I kind of jump off subject just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your family. I know you've got 2 sons. I'm sure they're caught up in the game of basketball, and your wife, Whitney, they play a role in your success as a coach. And how does Whitney help you be a better basketball coach and take care of things when so much of your time's taken up?
Right. Well, she's perfect for it, and we laugh and say it as a joke, but it's not really a joke. She's the best basketball player in the house. My son's 7th grader. He finally got to play up in some junior high JV stuff this year. And that was pretty cool as a dad and as a coach. And then my youngest is in the 2nd grade. And he thinks he's the coach. So, we've got a range on it, and it's a basketball family, and that's what you got to have to be successful, because not everybody can do it, and if you don't have that right fit, then it's hard to be successful. And she's been a big part of any success that I've had, for sure.
Well, and having the boys around, and I guess a lot of times they gym rats too. They come to practice, and that's good for your players uh, because they get to see you as a dad also.
Yeah, and and they laugh too because I mean they get in trouble, and it's like I don't try to hide anything with them. They know where I'm at on stuff, and they do. And I can remember too when I was in school, Chance being around, Ronnie's son, and being a part of the locker room, and how much fun that was, and to have my boys to be able to experience that, it's just a good thing, and really validates when I got back into on the boys side of it because I wanted my guys to play a section for one, but to also be in that locker room.
Well, and I think that's good for the players involved now. That helps them understand that they're actually role models, especially at the elementary school level and the real young level. They look up to these guys.
Yeah, and I can again everything goes back to my experience. I can remember those guys when I was in school wanting wearing your jersey number and wanting to be a part. Now we don't have the rollaways anymore. We put the regular goals back and they open the stage back up, so those kids get to sit on the stage and cheer and do that if they're not sitting on the bench. For the rec, program, we kind of designate a spot right beside our bench, so it makes them feel a part. But you want them a part of that culture because they're going to be it one day.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about the tradition of section basketball. Of course, 3 state championships. I know they've sections made the state tournament, I think, 9 times. Have had it's like 16 regional wins since 1994 when the regions started. And of course, a state championship in 2022, that had to be very special. Of course, I know of one young man that was on that team, and that was uh, Gabriel Healy. And I know his parents uh, pretty well. And my wife worked with Shannon. So, that was a very special group winning that state championship in 2022. Talk a little bit about that and what it meant to you personally.
It was big. The pressure on them guys was enormous. I mean, they talked about. I can remember being at Scottsboro and Kevin Dukes calling me and he's like, have you heard about this third grade team at Macedonia? And I'm like, first off, they're in the third grade, so no, I haven't heard anything. But he's just going on and on about this group, and the older they got, they didn't lose. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, maybe I get a shot at coaching those guys one day. But they talked about winning state championships in the third grade. And, it was a special group. They were all tight knit. When they came to section, they got along really good with those section kids. And then we got a couple guys moved in from Scottsboro who were, you couldn't tell it. I mean, everybody got along and it was such a close group. 21, their junior year, we lose the sub-state to Sandrock, and you could tell they made their minds up right then. They went to the weight room like I've never seen before and made it like a mission, and they even called it like the revenge tour and stuff, and they put it on their rings. And we lost one game over the summertime to McEachern out of Georgia, and we were tied at halftime and ended up getting beat 10 by them, and it was the 4th game of the day. But like we didn't lose that summer, and something just felt different about this group. And we had a good run. We got hot early, and that's what I like to tell. Past 2 years, that's what we've talked about. We got hot early, and with that team, and then in December, I think we won one game in December. That 22 team. And I'm thinking, where am I going to work next? I'm going to have to find another job. And then January hit. We go to Gatlinburg. We lose some close games, but you can tell like we're kind of back up on the upswing. And then January hit, and we just took off. And we went from scoring a lot of points early in that season to where we didn't score a lot of points in January and February, but them other teams didn't score at all. I mean, we had guys, they was just locking people down. And, it was really fun in hindsight looking at it, just seeing the difference of the two seasons in one season, and how they handled adversity better than anybody I've ever been around. But that's what 10 seniors is supposed to do, and they handled their business really well. That run was fun because everybody put us into the regional championship, at the beginning of the year. That's where they put us. So once we got there against midfield, like, we did our job, and they weren't satisfied. They wanted, the good thing is we was able to play without any pressure. Um, so we was able to play relaxed and play. The atmosphere at Jacksonville, I can't think of anybody that didn't cheer for section that night. And it was something I've never been a part of. And then I guess the most pressure, we were the underdog all the way up until the championship. And then finally, you know, we weren't the underdog anymore. So it took us about a quarter and a half to adjust to that, and they was able to bring it home. But that's one of them things that you never think is going to happen to you. As far as winning a state championship as a coach, but it's really special when it does.
Yeah, I'm sure. And also being from the bench and just seeing the look in those kids' eyes when that game's over with had to be thrilling.
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Coach, I wanted to talk about, of course, getting into this season. Like you said, it's been a good year. In the area championship game, you were in a 3-team area, so you're automatically into the sub-regional. You hosted, North Sand and Pisgah played. Pisgah beats North Sand. Well, Pisgah, and sometimes this may be because you maybe had a little more time off and had to think about it too much, and you kind of worry about that when you get a bye. Well, Pisgah jumped on you early in the first quarter in the area championship game, got up by 15. I guess you guys, you didn't panic, but I guess there was a little worry there early.
Yeah, to say the least. I mean, it was 22-7 at at the end of the first quarter.
Could you tell us kind of what you said at the break in between the first and second quarter there, being down that much?
Really nothing to say. I mean, we got hit in the mouth. How are we going to respond? And we talk a lot about adversity through the game. Like, there's going to be highs and lows. How do you respond to it? It's one of them deals. Like, we didn't think. We've played them a lot. We didn't think they could continue shooting like they were. I don't know if they missed but 2 the entire quarter. And I mean, that's a credit to them. They come at us and we got their best shot for sure. And so you just try to say whatever you can to calm them down. Getting in their grill and chewing on them, it really ain't gonna help. It ain't gonna buy you a bucket. So you kind of got to be the calm one. And sometimes I'm not very good at that, but that dictated that part. So I had to change how I normally coach, and the guys just responded well. They, we had to go into the full court. We're not a pressing team. That's just not what we do. We had to change up something. So they did a really good job when we made that adjustment, and was able to get some easy buckets and kind of get relaxed, and then was able to finally make some shots.
Yeah, from kind of what I understood in that second quarter, it wasn't just 1 or 2 people. Everybody kind of stepped up and hit some big shots to get you back in the ballgame.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, key rebounds and then getting the ball out and going, just doing the little things that got us where we're at. And you can't get all 15 points in one possession. And I know it's coach peak and all that stuff, but, just chipping away at it, it's a long game. So they really handled it well. I was really impressed with this bunch for handling it like that because, like I said, last year we weren't expected to make it to Jacksonville. This year, everybody had us written in there and all that stuff. So the expectations were there. So you really wonder about your bunch, how they're going to respond to that kind of expectations. And they handled that situation pretty good.
Well, of course, then in the sub-regional round, you host Sandrock, and Sandrock, a lot of times, they're very strong traditionally in basketball. But the one thing that happens, and of course, Gaston's in that area too, is in that area too. And of course, Pisgah went to Gaston and won. Just goes to show you where strength of schedule makes a difference. Sandrock might be as good athletically and talented as you are, but the toughness of the schedule you play really makes a difference in those types of games.
Yeah, we like to think it would. And he's got a young crew. I mean, he's got a bunch of 10th graders, and they're going to be good for 2 years, or these next 2 years. I mean, he does a really really good job up there, and they play basketball up there too. So um, to get out with a win on that was, that one is more, that's tougher and more nerve wracking, I feel like, than the area championship, because you get one more for the area championship. The 2-3 game is tough because it's win or go home. The area championship, you can kind of relax, and you still get a chance to play. Obviously, you want to do it at home again and win and cut the nets, but it's not as much pressure as that sub region too. So, uh, we played them. We played Sandrock actually in Thanksgiving. We didn't have. We just played them without a starter uh, at Gunnersville. So in Supreme Court's no atmosphere, so it was not a good judge on who they really were. Us either though, but he does a really good job with it. So yeah, to get out of that with a win was pretty good.
Well, Coach, before we go further and talk about, the opponent, of course, going to Jacksonville, I want you to talk about some of the kids on this basketball team. I know one I want to point out is Kyler Stewart, who got WQSB Athlete of the Week for last week. That just goes to show you how important academics and athletics go hand in hand, because this is a good award for that young man.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a guy who's improved tenfold since we got him is Kyler. And we're going to be a different team when we lose him. It's going to hurt, and I don't think people truly understand what he brings. I hope they do now, but he brings a lot, because he was averaging. I know midway through he was averaging double double. I'm sure he still is. You can expect him to get his 10 points and 10 rebounds, because he's the madman down there, and will tear the rim off if he gets the opportunity. And the funny thing about him, he was dunking in practice. Can't remember if it was this year or last. I think it was last year. He kept dunking in practice, but in the games he would miss layups. So the rule on him was, you don't dunk in practice. You dunk in a game. So I wouldn't let him dunk during practice. So finally he started making layups in the game, and he got him a dunk or two, and I guess he liked it, because now if he gets close, he's going to try to rip that rim off. So, just to see how he's grown, his confidence is high, and he's very valuable to what we do, for sure.
Yeah. Well, one of the other guys, Cooper, I know he had 24 points in the area final game, Overdeer. Talk about some of those guys and how they have played their role and how important they have been.
Well, what I love about those guys, they understand that for us to be good, we've got to have about 4 or 5 guys in double figures. One guy doing all the scoring, we're not as good. If we've got a pretty balanced, stat line, then we've got a shot to win a lot of games. Jackson Cooper is really good. His brother was on the 22 team. So he's been around basketball. He's from a basketball family, and gets it. Uh, Wants to be good, has the drive, and he wouldn't let us go away on the area championship. A lot of that we did ride on his back. He wouldn't let us go down the wayside, and we do lean on him a lot. Brody Overdeer, another guy who rebounds as good as anybody I've ever been around. Is shooting the ball 1,000 times better this year than I've seen him in years past, and is a mismatch problem. Like he can post you up, he can shoot it over top of your head, or he can drive it on you. So we try to do a lot of stuff with him where we can get some mismatches, and he's a good scorer. Defensively, he's gotten 1,000 times better as well. So those 3 guys, you know really bring a lot to the table. But then you got Leroy, Jackson Leroy, who has just come into his own, shoots the ball really well, plays the top of our red on defense and makes things happen too. And then I don't really know. Whitney might call him the glue of the whole thing. Would be Tyler Green. He runs the point, and he's just even all the time. You're not going to shake him. You're not going to get him excited. He's one of them guys that you can look to, and he even calms me down a lot of times. So, as far as the bench goes, we've got guys that come off the bench and contribute. They're finally starting to understand what their role needs to be. A couple of those guys would be Luke Swinford. He comes in and he's just a spark plug. I mean, he's all over the place. He's a firecracker, and he gets after it. He can make a shot or two, so he does really good. Sam Swinford comes off the bench too. He's a senior, can jump out of the gym and rebounds well. And then we have Aaron and Aiden Thomas. They come in and they shoot the ball really well. So I mean, we've got a pretty good crew. I feel like they all get along, and they're all fans of each other. And that's what it takes, especially nowadays, because a lot of times people want you just to get yours, and this group's not that way.
Yeah. That sounds, that sounds good. And I know, we often want to mention the kids, because if they're listening, it always makes them feel good if they're talked about, because, sometimes they don't get enough credit, because a lot of times parents, fans, they kind of sort of live life through, say, a basketball team. They put a lot of stock into the program, and sometimes, a lot of pressure is put on them.
A lot, and sometimes it's warranted. Sometimes, it's not. It's, if we're talking December and stuff, like,
Yeah.
you just got to let the game, play out. It's a long season, but those guys feel that pressure too. I think I even said in the area championship, pressure's not really on us, because in my mind we got one more regardless. And they looked around, it's like, no, coach, it's the pressure.
Yeah.
So they get it. They know where they're playing, and we talk about, we play for that name on our chest, and they understand that those guys at Daily Time, those old timers at Daily Time, are going to be talking about you, and it's either going to be talking good about you or they're going to be talking bad about you. But you can bet that every morning around that table at Daily Time, they're going to be talking about basketball
Yeah.
up here. So how you want your legacy left is in their hands. Nobody else's, not even mom and daddy's. So they get it.
Yeah, I definitely. So, and I think if somebody brings up the word section, basketball immediately pops in their head.
Yeah, and that's, again, that's what makes my job fun. That's why I come back.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, I want to ask you about this, and then I was something else. A couple other things I want to ask you about. But Coach Riley Edwards, the football coach, y'all work well together. I know having a weight program is kind of a joint thing for athletics now. He's trying to build the football team there at section. Great man. I mean, I think the world
Not a
of
better
him.
guy.
How are y'all able to work together?
He actually runs the weight room. I believe it's weird. I believe in the weight room. I think you have to be in the weight room. Period. Like, there's no way around it. There's no cutting it. I don't. Even if you don't play football, even if you're a baseball only guy, I think you have to be in the weight room nowadays. And he runs that. I'm not. I don't do good in the weight room. That's just not me. Like, Zach Hart ran it before Coach was there. Before Coach came to us, Zach Hart was my assistant, and he was my weight room guy. He was my assistant basketball guy, but he loved the weight room. So, uh, I saw the difference between 21 and 22. So that sold me. Nobody can change my mind. They're still lifting right now. I mean, he even lifts on game days, but he's not one of these guys who, I don't know, he's not one of these guys, I'm trying to be careful, that thinks football is the only thing that's ever happening, and you only lift weights for football. He's very well rounded. I mean, he lifts our 6th grade middle school teams. whether it be basketball, football, baseball. Everybody, if you're a boy athlete at section, then you're lifting weights, and it's got to be that way to be successful, especially nowadays. So, um, not a better guy. I hope he stays with us forever because
Yeah.
he's just a team player. And I hope he thinks the same about me. I try to support those guys the best I can too, and even Coach Pope in baseball. I feel like that right now we're all rowing in the same direction, and everybody gets along, and everybody wants the best for section, not just your one sport.
Yeah, I think with Coach Edwards, I think bottom line, he's interested in these kids to be successful in the game of life.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and he teaches that, and he does character ed and all that stuff with those guys, and it's more than just sports with him, and it's a big deal, especially with my son coming up. That's somebody I want my son to look up to and play for.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do look up to him, and he's well thought of. Well, Coach, if I'm a neutral fan, I'm going to show up at Jacksonville tomorrow evening at 7:30. What am I going to see out of the section lines? What is your coaching style, and what kind of style am I going to see when I see section play?
Well, the number one thing, I don't coach effort. If I have to coach effort, you're probably not going to play. So I hope our guys get after somebody, and they're going to. We play half court 1-2-2. Even what we did when under Ronnie, nothing's changed as far as that goes. We do drop back into man and not zone, but we don't really extend the court, unless we see something that might give us an advantage. But we're mainly going to stay in the half court defensively and play that 1-2-2 trap and man to man. Offensively, we try to just space it out and let them play basketball. The rule that I try to have is if you do what I want defensively, you get after it and you rebound. I don't put any reins on what you do offensively. I'll try to give a few rules and stuff, and we might dictate some matchup problems that we might see. But as far as you've got to run this offense, and if you don't run this offense, you're not going to play. We don't do that. If you do what I want defensively, I feel like I can give you some leeway and some free reign on offense. So main thing I hope you see is effort, and guys that love to play basketball.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you this. Faith, I'm sure it's important, for a lot of the folks around here. How do you implement that into your program?
Well, it's one of them deals that we try to preach. We're not perfect. There's only one perfect guy that walked this earth. So we're going to make mistakes. We're going to have grace about it. Now, obviously, for me, grace runs out. It's not one of them deals. I'm not that guy, but we've got some really good, like Jackson Leroy is, as stand-up guy as you'll ever see or be around, and he's just a joy to be around. And even I look up to him as far as what his faith is and stuff. So those guys, they love. I feel like they love the Lord, and they see that going through the school and stuff. So, we just try to do the best we can, but we do make mistakes for sure.
Yeah, definitely so. But that's great. It kind of sort of, I guess, in a sense, you're saying that you kind of lead by example, and and you don't pressure the guys, but you hope you see what you are in your actions.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Well, talk to us about the fans. Section's always had a great following. Give a shout out to them. I mean, they're very passionate. I remember back when I used to do games, very passionate fan base when it comes to basketball.
Yeah,
Well, before you answer that, Coach, what was that grin about when he asked you about the fans?
Well, we've got some of the best ones, but they are rowdy. And there's no doubt about it. My mama's probably one of them. And there's nothing like it. And it's fun. We've got Caleb Haynes. He's been back with us past couple of years, and he played senior year at section, and to play in that environment and is nothing like it. When the old timers are sitting at the 50-yard line, and breaking down everything that you do, whether you're a coach or a player. You got guys standing on the baseline and kids on the stage. There's nothing better than section high school, section gymnasium when that's going on, and when basketball's good. Uh, I really wish, it's. I tell everybody it's a 1961 model, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing. Now I would like to have a practice facility or
Yeah.
somewhere to do something else. But as far as game day, there's no place if you're good, there's no place better to play than section for sure.
Well, you're
Yeah.
saying if you're good, what about being bad? What happens then?
They ain't coming. They ain't coming, and I don't blame them. I don't want to be there either when you're bad. But uh, it. They're gonna let you know about it too, and that's what we talked about. It's fun when your job is important. It's fun. I don't care if you coach or if you're whatever you do, you want your job to be important, and it for sure is a section.
Yeah, and I guess coach, every day what keeps you coming back to work is motivating these kids and seeing the difference you make in their lives.
Yeah, and it's fun because I play for two really really good guys. Paul Ellis and Ronham Carver, and different coaching philosophies, but same goal. And they they really showed me a lot, showed my teammates a lot, and even my classmates a lot. And that's something you want for guys that you're coaching, and hopefully they might not see it right now, but hopefully 10 years down the road they'll see it.
Yeah, I can remember, I know Coach Paul Ellis. I played football against him, but, he's one of them. He is going to be the first one in your grill, but he's also going to be the first one to pat you on the back.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
he's done that many times for me, and I
Yeah.
appreciate every one of them for sure, and deserved every one of them.
Yeah, definitely so. He's a great guy. Well, Coach, I want to ask you this, and then I'll turn you over to Howie. Southeastern, know absolutely nothing about them. Can you tell us about them and of course, who you're going to see at 7:30 tomorrow evening down at Jacksonville State? Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, their head coach is the Sand Mountain guy, so that Tyler Cole played at Geraldine, so I'm sure they've got a little bit of Sand Mountain influence just because of him. Um, they get out and go. They've got some guys that like to shoot it, just like we do. And I guess that's part of the Sand Mountain influence, where you're just shooting that thing as deep as you can. Uh, they they do a good job mixing defenses. They'll come out and 2-2-1 half court and man to man and 1-3-1 and diamond full court. So they do a really good job mixing defenses. They're kind of balanced. They really don't have that one guy like in 22. Well, when we played Coach Cole's team in 22 when he was at Cleveland, they don't have that one guy that just stands out and says, "We got to stop that guy. He can't beat us." And for that, they're balanced. We're going to have to defend. We're going to have to rebound, and hopefully get a few things to go our way, and jump on them early. Uh, so offensively, they run a little flex action stuff, and they try to get the ball going downhill and hit those guys on the 3-point line too with kickouts. So um, they're pretty balanced, I guess, is the best way to say it.
Yeah, and of course, I think we talked about this before I let you have Howie. When you get down to Jacksonville, it's a little bit different world, and you talked about this, that it's a longer court. Early in the ball game, it seems like guys will get a little winded, but once they get their second win, they settle in. But you don't want to get behind early; it makes it an uphill mountain to climb.
Yeah, and it goes back to how you handle your adrenaline, because it's going to be going. You're at Jacksonville, so the good thing is, the good thing is last year we got a chance at it, and we got a chance to do it. I felt like we were a year ahead last year. I think I've already said it, but nobody expected us to be at Jacksonville last year. So I do feel like, that's in our benefit that we were a year early. So we've got that little bit of experience under our belt. Then, of course, you try to do summer at Jacksonville and get to play on the big court and do all that. So you've seen it before. But yeah, you definitely want to try not to ride the wave too long on that adrenaline, and just try to be as balanced as possible. Or if you get that lead like you're talking about, hopefully it's on the good boy side and we don't turn it back over and get behind. So.
All right, Howie, all yours.
Coach, while we're on the subject of playing at Jacksonville, how many kids you got coming back from that played there last year on this year's team?
I lost 2 seniors that played on that team. So, and they were 2 starters, Cody Vault and Josh Varner. Josh was our leading scorer last year. And then Cody did a really good job, on top of Red or 1-2-2 and defensively for us. And really at the end of the year was playing pretty good offensively too. So, we had to replace 2 guys, but the core, as far as, our post play, our point guard, we had those guys coming back. So that's pretty beneficial for us.
So they're used to they've played down there last year, so they're going to be they know what to expect.
Yes, and then like I said, we played there this summer, and try to play on the main court and get some games going. So
I kind of want to touch on a few things that Phil touched on as well. The section fans are some of the, like you said, some of the best around when things are going good, and then when it's not, they're not. But do y'all have something does the student section have something going on tomorrow night as far as a whiteout or anything like that?
my son just asked me, matter of fact, and I couldn't tell you. So I told him he need to text his buddies, and try to get something going. I try to stay away from all that. I'm not really good at that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure they've got something up their sleeve. I know they want to do, when we leave tomorrow, they're wanting to do the walkthrough and go to the bus and escort us to the bus and all that stuff. So those guys are invested, and they're really, really fun when you got them. Coach Edwards gets a lot of those guys. He kind of leads the charge on getting those guys to the games and making sure they're here and cheering loud. So, that's just another thing that he does for section, for the community. He makes sure that we got people that's cheering and being loud. So I'm sure they got something. I just don't know how to answer that yet.
Right. Going back to the 22 season, you won the state title. Where is your championship ring at the moment?
That's in my drawer.
Do you bring it out very often?
No, I don't. I have made the comment. I want to wear the next one. It's the reason I don't want to look at that one. It's funny when me and Whitney started dating. I told her no state championships rings in my house until I get one. So that was because she's got 1,000. So that was always a running joke, and then that actually be able to win one is just still mind blowing to me. But yeah, I keep it put up. I might wear it on a special occasion. It's one of my guys' weddings if they're getting married. But and actually, I was in one of my guys' weddings off of that team a year or two ago, and that was something special. And I did wear it to that, but no, I don't wear it much.
Well, to get in on that, Coach, I think I won a state championship in 1984, and I've got a ring, and mine's in a drawer too. And people ask me why I never wore it much. But, I think it was nice to win a championship, but it doesn't really define you as a person. You move on from that and you go for the next one. But that's like what I've always told me. It's not me, it's the relationships and the memories that are important, not that ring.
Yeah, and I guess that's, too, I guess it can be bad, but I look at it as in the past. I'm trying to get another one, and I don't, if I keep wearing that, then maybe my mind is not on the next one. It's always on the past. So I don't know. That's just the way I look at it.
Well, we're not going to keep you much longer. I got a few kind of get to know Coach Wynn questions. Not really personal stuff, but maybe ask you something that some of the other people just don't know much about you. So game days, game nights before you walk on the court, is there anything superstitious or anything that you have to do or anything that you need done before you hit the floor?
I'm big on cough drops. I've got to have cough drops in my pocket for the whole game. Once postseason gets here, Whitney will tell you that I like to wear the same clothes. But that's not superstitious. That's just we ain't gonna mess with nothing. I don't look at it superstitious. That's just like, why mess with it? So,
Yeah. Well,
so
you
she
do
does
wash
get
them.
it.
You do
We do
wash them,
wash
don't
them. Yeah,
you?
she won't let me go that far. She does wash them. And I started that, and it's funny because me and Coach Hart was, we started doing it, and we didn't know each other was doing it until about the third game in, and finally he's like, "Why you keep wearing that?" I'm like, "I just ain't gonna mess with nothing." And he said, "Well, I've been wearing the same thing too." So Whitney was over in 22s, like she was in charge of our getting everything washed and making sure we got it back at Birmingham, and she was in charge of the wardrobe. But I guess I do that. But other than that, no. But I will tell you, like, and I've talked about it probably a lot. Just walking down that hallway after you talk to the team to go to a home game at section, especially when it's area championship night or something. There's nothing like that. To walk down that same hallway that you did as a kid, that's pretty special. So that's probably one of my most favorite things to do is to walk down that hallway about to play a game.
You mentioned something. I nearly forgot it, but I want to go back to it real quick. Playing under Coach McCarver and being an assistant underneath him, did you get any of your coaching style from him?
Uh, Everybody says yes. And I guess so. You kind of adapt to what you're around, what you see. I've never been one of those guys that ask a lot of questions. I'm a visual guy. So just watching him, how he does things. Uh, I guess some would say, yeah. Uh, we we get joked at a lot that we look alike and all that stuff. So if I had $1 for every time I heard that, I'd probably be able to retire this year.
Well, I know one of his things, and I know you know what I'm fixing to talk about, but I know one of his main things was to get your attention was stomping that foot.
Yeah, I've picked that one up too. I did. I picked that one up too. I actually started wearing tennis shoes, and I don't stomp the foot with tennis shoes, but I've actually broke the dress shoes back out, and it's a good thing because it's been so loud that I couldn't scream and yell, so they can hear that foot stomp though. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's funny, I'm finally getting old enough to where I do have players that are starting to coach, and a girl that I had at Scottsboro, uh, Meg Garner. She's coaching at Woodville now, junior high girls, and I got to watch her coach a couple times, and she's got the foot stomped down too. So
Yeah.
maybe I did get to pass something down to somebody.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's say, Coach Wynn, we're getting in your vehicle now. We're fixing to go somewhere. What type of music you gonna be listening to?
Uh, Probably 105.1. We're listening to some country music going down the road. So unless
You
it's in the
don't.
morning, then we're listening to Rick Burgess.
Well, you don't have to say that because
Hey,
Phil's
well,
here
on
with
Friday
us.
night,
Well, I know it. Yeah, I know that
yeah.
sounds like a shameless plug, but that's for real.
Hey, on Friday nights, do you listen to Scoreboard?
Yeah, I do. I do
Yeah.
actually. Sure do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
what is something that maybe people don't realize as far as Coach Wynn's favorite food he likes to eat?
I'm pretty simple. I'm a ribeye steak and a sweet potato and a salad, of course. But that's probably as simple as I can get. Um, nothing extravagant.
So I want to go back to this came to me. I want to go back to the first question or the super. Well, it's not superstition. I'm sorry. The not changing anything. So what can we expect Coach Wynn to be wearing tomorrow night at Jacksonville State?
Well, I will. It started, and it's crazy, and she's gonna make fun of me. Uh, we my black Jordan Cage jacket and my dress shoes, of course. Uh, we played really well at Pisgah when I wore that. I didn't wear it the championship night, and we all know what happened then. So I wore it against Sandrock. We played pretty well, so I'm rolling with that.
Well, that's I'm even till to this day certain things I'm still superstitious about, but you know I want to start changing. I'm going to change it from superstition to I just don't want to change
Yeah,
anything.
we ain't changing stuff. Like,
Well,
we ain't no need messing up a good thing for sure.
uh,
And that's the fun thing about sports, you know. And I've always thought that was kind of interesting too, is going back and seeing people's different superstitions and what they did, you know, as a player and even as a coach, you know. So it is a fun part about sports, anyways.
Phil, help me out on this. We had Coach Steve Sparks on last week from Fort Payne, and I asked him about it. And he said it's not a superstition. What was it he called it? A ritual or something like that? A routine. He called it a routine. It
Routine.
was,
Routine.
yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
called it routine, not a superstition, but a routine that he
Well,
goes through.
and he's one of the best in the business, so I'll go with routine.
Yeah.
So there we go. Coach,
Yeah.
we're going to let you get out of here. But before we get going, we always let everybody, especially coaches, give a shout out to whoever you want to, because we know you do a lot of work for the school and everything, but it's more than just you. I know you got a lot of help as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I could go on for days. You know, obviously Whitney and the boys, mom and dad, but just you know, my admin Blake Wigley and Kelly Chapman. There's probably not two better in the state than them two, who's got you back and in it for the right reasons. So, yeah, I could go on forever on shout outs for sure, because there's been a lot of people who have been big influences in my life and continue to be to this day. But, uh, you know, I'm very blessed and appreciate you guys having me for sure.
We appreciate this time. Like we talked about a little bit earlier, the second season, you got a lot of stuff on your plate right now, especially playing tomorrow night. Um, what maybe some of the community wants to come and see y'all off tomorrow. What time will y'all be leaving?
We're leaving at about 10:30, 10:15, 10:30 in the morning. And we're going to go down and have a shoot around and then go eat and try to make it watch some Jackson County basketball and then tip it off.
You know, me and Phil used to go down and do all the games for local stations, but we're not doing that now. But we always loved, and I'm speaking for Phil. Most of the time I don't speak for people, but I will this time. We loved when Jackson DeKalb County started rolling into Jacksonville, because it's like they just closed everything up around here and everybody went down there.
Yeah. And we've talked about it too. And what's fun is everybody is from Jackson County, like people from sections cheering for Pisgah and Skyline and North Sun Mountain. And they're doing the same for us. And that's what's fun about it, is it's not an individual school, it's Jackson County or DeKalb County. And everybody's cheering for each other. And that's what makes Jacksonville special.
Well,
Yeah,
you know, and
absolutely.
and to add to that, Coach, I think also, I think everybody, it's competitive during the season, but when you get down to Jacksonville, I think everybody sort of forgets about the color thing, because you know they're rooting for the kids as individuals. I think more than anything else.
Right. And now, and even when I was playing, you didn't have social media and stuff, but everybody's like, you know, everybody. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like everybody knows each other. You've got family or something. There's a connection there, so it makes it easier to cheer for those guys, and they deserve it. They've worked hard for it, and they did what it takes to be there, so they deserve to be cheered for.
You know, we've seen with the Sand Mountain tournament, you see most of Jackson DeKalb County either playing against each other or you see them during that time. So, like you said, you know who's playing, you know who's on the team, and you know you get rid of the jerseys and you want to support the Jackson DeKalb teams.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, I mean, we're like tomorrow, nobody's playing against each other. So it's real easy to cheer for somebody then. Now, hopefully, next Tuesday, it's not going to be the same. We hope we got that opportunity, but, you know, whoever advances, you'll be right back cheering for them again. That's just the way it is. So, and it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So I want to ask a question, but right before we go, but I don't want to put the cart before the horse. But that time off in between tomorrow and the next game, do you like having a lot of time off?
No, it's really going to be tough, because I mean, we've played pretty much rest two play and rest two and play. So it'll be kind of the Nick Saban philosophy on how to try to handle that and try to make your practices competitive and get after each other, and with enough time to actually get some rest in. But hopefully we get a chance to figure that one out for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Phil, you have anything else before we let Coach Wynn go and have time, some afternoon time with his family?
No, I just, other than appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate you coming on in short notice. I reached out to you Saturday evening, and I sure do appreciate having you on. And we want to get you on again. Make this a habit. We've enjoyed it, and I'd like to get you on again.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for all that y'all do, for sure, especially for high school sports. It's a big deal, and these kids they deserve to be recognized and talked about. So appreciate what you guys do, and really had a good time doing it.
Come on, Phil. It's not a habit; it's a routine.
Routine. Sorry, Coach Sparks has got us going in the right direction.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
There we go. So for Phil Harris, our special guest tonight, Coach Derrick Wynn, that took the time. Thank you. Thank your family for, letting us have you for at least an hour, because I know they haven't saw you a whole lot since when did the season start? October?
June seems like, but yeah, it's October for sure.
Yeah. So, but for Coach Derrick Wynn, Phil Harris, I'm Howie Chaney. Go out and support Section Lions tomorrow night at what time?
7:30.
7:30 at Pete Matthews Coliseum in Jacksonville. First round of the region tournament. So good night and God bless everyone.
Thank you guys.